So here are 3 things that I always try to make sure that I do when conducting auditions for worship team members. And so hopefully these are helpful to you, but we're just going to jump right in. So first of all, I always try to make sure that they are relaxed. Like I do everything I can to make sure that a new prospective worship team member is just relaxed. More often than not, I find that a lot of people who are interested in doing in singing or playing an instrument with the worship team at our church are just really stressed out about the prospect and really nervous about singing in front of somebody, especially in like a smaller environment. Like for some reason, those are really awkward, So I try to make them less awkward. A couple ways that I do that. One, especially if it's a vocalist, I'll sing with them a little bit in the beginning just to kind of get them used to the fact, like, yes, this is awkward. I'm singing with you. You're singing with me. There's no one, like, there's not an audience. This feels weird and it's okay. So like singing with them. I also try to play an instrument or play like a karaoke track or something. So that way it's not, super, super high intensity, crazy audition. Because like, we've seen, auditions for The Voice, and we've seen auditions for American Idol and for X Factor, just all these like shows or whatever. And those are like super crazy high stakes auditions, and they have to sift through thousands of people to find like the best singer in America, right? Well, we're not sifting through thousands of people. You're lucky if you have like 4 people auditioning in a single day. Right, for the most part. I mean, there are some larger churches that are probably auditioning tons of people, but I just try to make sure that I'm just being welcoming and loving, because an audition is helping somebody get plugged into your church, whether or not they join the band or not. That interaction with you as a leader or as a team member is really going to help them choose to get plugged in with your team if they pass the audition, or with another team if they don't. And if they have a terrible experience where you just put them on the spot and you made them feel awful, you made them feel just terrible, the chances of them going and joining another team are going to be pretty slim, because you just kind of like cut them off at the knees, right? So I just always try to make them feel comfortable. Another couple ways that I do that is I'll ask them questions about, where are you from? Just like get to know them a little bit, just like little chit chat stuff. Ask them how long they've been interested in music, what kind of music they like to listen to. That's always a good one. And I make them pick their favorite artist or band. And that's always a really fun question, because no one can ever pick one. But then it always provides me an opportunity to make fun of a band like Nickelback or something like that. And usually it gets a chuckle, unless the person said their favorite band is Nickelback. And in which case they say like, yeah, whatever. And then they usually, they know Nickelback is awful. It's a guilty pleasure. But anyway, sorry but not sorry if you like Nickelback. So number 2, the second thing that I always try to do in an audition is make sure that they have been able to prepare in advance. I try to send them a couple songs that I would like them to perform with and for me, so that way I can get an idea of what their skill level is like, and then also let them pick a song of their own. But I encourage them to really rehearse a lot, to learn the 2 songs as closely as possible to the tracks that I sent them, just so I can see how well they are, how good of a learner they are, because I want to see their skill level, but I also want to see their ability when it comes to being a team player. And when you give somebody a track and you say, you're a guitarist and I want you to play this part just like the lead guitarist plays, if they come back and they're going to show you all their sweet picking on that song, okay, this might be somebody that they might work out for the team, but I'm going to have to handle them a little differently to help them learn how to be a team player right off the bat, off the get-go. And as your team grows and as you have more and more of an opportunity to, like, let's say you have like a full roster and you don't have room for more guitarists, holding an audition like this helps you to be able to say back to the person like, hey, I don't think you're ready for the team yet. Here are some things that you need to work on. And then, so I try to help them make sure that they're really prepared, because no one wants to show up and be put on the spot. Every once in a while, like a mom will bring their teenage daughter in and be like, she's got a great voice, here, listen, sing. And the teenage daughter's like, why are you doing this to me, Mom? Don't, please, not in front of the worship leader. And I don't want to be the one who like causes that kind of discomfort in somebody. And there's really no reason to be. So if somebody's interested in singing, I always say singing, because that's the most common audition that I end up running. But if somebody's interested in auditioning, I get their information, I make sure that they're in our system. I get them hooked up with Planning Center, which is what we use, and a lot of churches use it as well. But it's just, it's a software that helps people get the music beforehand and listen to the music and learn the lyrics and that kind of stuff. And I lay it all out for them and say, like, this is a volunteer ministry, so that way they don't think that, ours is a volunteer ministry, so it's not a paid gig or whatever. So it's a volunteer ministry. This is what the rehearsal times look like for us, and this is some just basic information. So that way they don't like audition, and I have them on the hook, and then all of a sudden they realize, oh, you rehearse for 4 hours before service starts, because our vocalists do. So, and that's the together rehearsals, not counting any rehearsal that they did at home. So, I try to lay that stuff all out, so that way they're prepared. They know what they're getting into. They know what they're possibly committing to, and they also know kind of the level that I'm looking for. Because if I lay those things out and I say, like, yeah, this is how long our rehearsals are, I expect our vocalists to have lyrics memorized, like those kind of things, they're going to take the audition more seriously too, and it'll save me a lot of time and them a lot of time. We don't want to waste their time either. We don't want them to come in and need a second audition. Like, we should be able to tell within one audition how well they're going to do on the team. And if we need multiple auditions with people, I think a lot of times that just communicates a lack of preparedness on our part as the leads to help them be prepared enough to give us an actual snippet of what they are capable of for our team. Thirdly, the follow-up. This is extremely important and is very hard to do. I messed this up on more than one occasion. The follow-up is so important. First of all, your follow-up has to be fast, and you need a game plan, so that way you know how to let them down easily if it's not going to work out for them to be on your team. And you need a game plan for follow through, so that's not like, sweet, you're on the team, and then they never hear back from you again. Like, that's awful as somebody who has auditioned, right? Like, what did I do? What did I do wrong? And it's just an irresponsible and disorganized leader that like let them fall through the cracks. So for example, I talked to a lady this last weekend at our church. I heard she's got a great voice. I got her phone number and her email address so I can get her plugged into Planning Center and get her the music sent to her so we can set up an audition. And she's either gonna send us a video audition or we're gonna do an audition in person. And from there, let's say she does really, really well. I know the track that I'm gonna take her along to get her prepared to be able to worship on stage with us on the weekend. I know that if she's at a certain level, I'm gonna recommend that she starts with our Wednesday services so I can help kind of get her to a better place. And if she is having a hard time with stage presence, here's how I'm gonna coach her with that. But if she's like super great, I'm gonna have her attend a couple rehearsals just to sort of get the feel for how we do things and that kind of thing or whatever, right? But let's say that she's not gonna make the cut. It doesn't look like it's gonna work. I know what my game plan is, so I'm not like just winging it when the audition's over. I can say like, hey, I'd like you to get some voice lessons, or you can work on these few things before I think you'd be ready. And sometimes they're big things that are kind of tough to work on, right? Like, I need you to be able to improve your pitch so you can actually really hit pitch well, or I'm gonna need you to work on harmonizing, and here's some things I recommend to be able to do that. You want to give them a roadmap for if they are passionate about music, that they can actually go and do that. You don't want to just say like, you're never going to be able to do this. You should just quit right now because you're terrible. That's awful. You don't ever want to do that to somebody. especially because so much of, like, I know musicians who just have natural talent and they barely have to try, and they're just so passionate about it, and they're just really, really good. But I also know a lot of musicians who got good by just working really, 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 really hard at it. Like, they sat down, they slogged through hours of rehearsing, running drills on their instruments, running drills vocally over and over and over again, painstakingly, and they got good at it. So I don't ever want to say, like, no, you can never do this, because I know people who have worked so hard at it to be able to get good at it. So anyway, have a game plan. Know that your follow-up needs to be quick, that you want to, like, you don't want to, okay, cool, you'll hear back from me in 4 days about how your audition went. Think of how, like, nerve-wracking it was for them to come to you and audition and, like, have to wait 4 days to hear whether they made it or not. Like, you know, as the leader, it's not like you have to think about it for 4 days. You just, So just have a game plan, know how you're going to say it, plan out how you're going to do it in the most loving way possible. If you do need to let them down, help them find another team that they'd be able to serve on in the meantime while they're working on the things that you laid out for them. Because they might still really be passionate about serving on the worship team in the future, right? So you just want to say, like, these are the things we're working on. Here's a team that I really recommend that you join in the meantime, and that way I can still coach and help you to be able to get better at this, so you can be a better fit for it in the future. So those are my 3 tips, I guess, for you for auditions, or 3 things that I try to focus in on making sure I do really well in leading an audition. First of all is just helping them feel really, really comfortable. Second is making sure that they're able to be really prepared. And then third is just making sure the follow-up is really, really, really good and really loving, and really grace-filled, but also just really concise and quick. So kind of that's all I got for you guys today. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you want to, go ahead and subscribe. And until next time, thanks for hanging out with me. Peace.